This is Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 29th. A Texas judge has refused to dismiss the abuse of power case against former Governor Rick Perry. The legal team defending Perry argued the law was applied unconstitutionally and the indictment should be thrown out. In the ruling, the judge noted 3 points. First, the state law does not allow a judge to determine constitutionality at this point in the legal process. The indictment process must be amended to properly address a concern raised by the defense, and one of the felony charges should be reduced to a misdemeanor. This abuse of power charge stems from Perry's refusal to give $7.5 million to a program run by Travis County DA Rosemary Lemberg. Lemberg was arrested on drunk driving charges, and Perry used his constitutionally authorized veto power to pressure her to resign. Lemberg did not. New Governor Greg Abbott immediately released a statement on the ruling, calling Perry's indictment outrageous and inappropriate. California Senator Mark Leno has sponsored a bill that would treat e-cigarettes no differently from regular tobacco cigarettes in the state of California, effectively forbidding them in workplaces, hospitals, bars, public transit, and schools. In a press release, Leno said, quote, "Like traditional cigarettes, e-cigarettes deliver nicotine in a cloud of other toxic chemicals, and their use should be restricted equally under state law in order to protect public health. While the health risks of traditional cigarettes are well documented, there is not similar information about e-cigarettes. And a study from the University of California noted it is not clear if e-cigarettes have toxicity similar to that of the conventional cigarette smoke. A spokesman for the e-cigarette industry said the bill threatened a product that has helped many smokers quit a harmful habit. Cuban President Raul Castro has given a list of demands to the United States ahead of any talks to normalize relations between the two nations. One of the demands includes returning Guantanamo Bay to Cuba. Other demands called for the U.S. to stop supporting dissidents of the Cuban government, remove Cuba from the list of state sponsors of terror, and to stop broadcasting anti-Castro radio and television. Castro said absent any resolutions to these problems, diplomatic efforts between the U.S. and Cuba would be meaningless. The United States State Department has yet to respond to the demands. And a California high school is a subject of parental outrage after Planned Parenthood sent 2 sex ed instructors to Acalanes Union High School. Parents demanded the curriculum be made available for viewing and parental approval, along with the employment background of the instructors. The 2 instructors had questionable side jobs. One led adult toy workshops, and the other is a self-described, quote, pleasure activist. One angry parent said Planned Parenthood is, quote, a business. It's a business that sells sex. It's a way to get clientele and sexualize young people. Outraged parents hired conservative legal firm, the Pacific Justice Institute, to petition the school for a new curriculum. The school released a statement informing parents the 2 instructors would no longer be teaching the course. This has been Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 29th.
Well, welcome back to the show, folks. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to call in during this segment, please do 412-567-6879. And as Dan has been doing, thankfully, all show long, you can interact with us on Twitter at The Right Mics. But before you call in, we have a guest, writer and editor with Mike and I at ijreview.com. Becca Lauer's on the line with us. Becca, hey.
Hey, Halsum. Hey, Miller. How
What's
are
up,
you two
Becca?
today?
We're great, man. You?
Good. I'm the copy editor. There's an important
See, I
distinction
was going to
there.
say
I'm
that,
the copy
but
editor at IJ Review.
yeah,
No, it's important. No.
Well, because you and I have had that discussion, and see, I didn't want to correct Hausum because he's never wrong. But
wait a second. Whoa. You've definitely had articles published under your name. So, writer's correct. And what was wrong with when I said you're an editor? But you
I'm not an
correcting me that
editor.
I'm a copy. You're a copy.
I'm a copy editor. Miller's an editor, and others are editors, but I'm not an editor.
But you're a
that's okay.
damn good copy editor.
Thank you.
Seriously. Hey,
Well,
listen.
I would assert that if I say you're an editor, by refining it to include to be copy editor is just really being uptight and nothing really.
I will allow you to assert that, Mr. Halcom. I will
And
allow
of course,
you to
and of
assert
course,
that.
Becca, it shows that he knows nothing about various responsibilities in journalism. But having set that aside, Michael, I do have to tell you, because you know how sometimes people come on the show and they don't get our senses of humor. You know, we've
Right.
had that happen a couple times. I have been personally tutoring Becca, and she will attest to this behind the scenes, to the point where yesterday morning, Becca, I think you said, I get it. I get your sense of humor now. So you should be well prepared to do battle with the right minds.
Yes, this is true. He is trying to teach me in the ways of the right Mike's humor, and I feel that I am catching on. I am catching on with it.
Well, that would be the
Slowly.
kind of thing that, Mike, what we maybe do when we see that somebody has actually grown to the point of not getting our sense of humor, we should probably send them some sort of certificate.
I think you're exactly right. Or we could do that along with an autographed picture of both of us. I mean, that would be a takeoff from your old what the hell did you call your show? House Rules. Yeah, I think we should do that. And I think also, as I'm listening to this, and Jen Van Laar was on last week. She put up a post on Facebook.
Great Jen Van Laar.
The great Jen Van Laar, and she put up a post. She said she just lost 500. No, she burned 500 calories. How's I'm laughing on our show? So I think this is a bit of a weight loss program too, if you really think about it.
It's kind of an ab workout.
Yeah.
I saw that message. It was either a tweet or a message, and it inspired me. I'm like, you know what? I need laughter in my life.
Well,
I don't get enough laughter, looking at what Halcom writes every day. I need a little bit more than that. And so I think listening to the show could add to that. But I'm really glad. I'm glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you here. So what's on your mind today?
Well, I think it's really interesting that if you all may remember, our president and his administration decided they were going to begin a process of normalizing relations with Cuba a few weeks ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, the Cuban president, Raul Castro, brother of Fidel Castro, says that not so fast. He has a list of demands that are going to have to be met, he says, for the U.S. to have better relations with Cuba.
We talked about that. We talked about the demand, give us Gitmo back first, and then stop with all the anti-Castro articles, and then we'll talk. So in other words, give us all this stuff, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, and this Nicholas Kirch, who's with us at Idea Review, wrote a great piece. Before he will begin relations talks with the U.S., Cuban President Raul Castro has a list of demands, and so you probably listed some of them. Castro was speaking at the community of Latin American and Caribbean states yesterday in Costa Rica, and he listed, like you mentioned, the first one is returning Guantanamo Bay. The way he put it, quote, the reestablishment of diplomatic relations is the start of the process of normalizing bilateral relations, but this will not be possible while the blockade still exists. Well, they don't give back the territory illegally occupied by the Guantanamo naval base, Castro said. So that's the first. He doesn't want Cuba to be on the list of state sponsors of terror, and he wants us to stop broadcasting anti-Castro radio and TV content. So that's all. That he wants. The State Department has not responded. Not a shock there, but what do you guys think of that? I mean, that's.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think? Because do you think that Obama should, follow his pattern and just as he behaves with the mad mullahs, and they're not mad, they're very bright, the mullahs in Tehran, should he just, just follow his past and just go ahead and give Guantanamo back and stop the anti-Castro broadcast and remove them from the anti-terror state list? I mean, should he just go ahead and do that just because, just show he's a nice guy?
Well, I mean, you want to look like a nice guy. I mean, you don't want to be mean. You don't want to seem to be a bully or something like that. Of course. I mean, what else would he do? Seriously though, probably what's going to happen in this case is possibly that. Of course, I mean, I'm seeing people saying, well, he is kind of emptying Guantanamo, so maybe this is kind of not a huge leap from what Obama's already doing. But another path that could happen is he may just kind of shrug his shoulders like he does on a lot of these foreign policy ideas, that he just seems like he's coming up with something he thinks is very novel and very amazing to everyone, and then when it doesn't pan out or it's not possible, he kind of shrugs his shoulders and says, well, we just, it'll take time, and then it goes on the back burner or further. It's like oh well, our effort was enough. Doesn't matter that it didn't come to pass. So.
Well, it seems to me, one thing when I look at this list, I think about the second one in terms of removing them from the list of state sponsors of terror. I would think that they could do that simply by no longer being a state sponsor of terror.
Okay, so now here you go. You're introducing logic into that doesn't work, okay, in the liberal world, nor in the communist world. So, yeah, that might be a good first step, Michael.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're being on the list of state sponsors of terror because we needed a country that started with a C to be on the list.
So, we have like 26, and that's like the C slot there. I think also, and I'm gonna have to go into suspect, but the important thing I think to take away from this, just in my own opinion, is that thank goodness we do have the House and Senate, especially the Senate, in a case like this, because I doubt that anything will happen.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the royal pen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think that if anything important needs to be done, it certainly doesn't need to involve the House and the Senate. Jeez.
Nor the Supreme Court. I mean, come on.
You know what? Here's the thing. And I would suggest, Becca, that you listen a little bit more often because we're on the cutting edge of economic political thinking here. And one of the things that we realize is that the old ways of doing things kind of got us into the shape that we're in. So I'm not sure that suggesting involvement from Congress is necessarily additive to this process.
No, that's muddy, and it's not nearly as efficient. So yeah, we don't need to do that. On the state, listen, the state sponsor of terrorism list. So Obama gets that demand, right? And he looks at it, and he thinks, well, they haven't done anything for a while, and so he rings up Raul and says, now it'll still be okay if you terrorize your own people, right? I mean, you're still going to do that. Oh yeah, all right. Let's just keep that like on the down low a little bit because I'm going to go ahead and go with this, but that won't look real good for my image if you don't. It's a joke. I mean, like we said in the first hour. I mean, all people need to do is sit back, and as we said, Obama, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We just give them everything they want. Well, same thing with the communists. Look at Putin, by all intents and purposes, is trying to return to being a communist. So, yeah, we're going to get the short end of the stick here, and Raul's going to win.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Obama, he seems to be buddies with a lot of different communists, especially to the south, like in Central America. So You know, maybe